Welcome back to another report episode, which if you are new here to the podcast, hello, welcome. These episodes are basically a monthly roundup of what I've been reading, eating, playing, obsessing over, recommending, and treating. I love doing these because they are just like a nice break from all of the Disney stuff and more just behind the scenes, my life, being a mom, and a little bit of the business side of things too. And I have a feeling if you're listening to this episode when it airs, this is a very busy week for you. So we're just going to keep it very relaxed and easy and short this week. And my hope is that you find something new or a recommendation that you would like to try, and I will link everything in the show notes so that you can find everything easily. Hello, and welcome to the Laid Back Magic Way podcast. I'm your host, Dana Stanley, creator of Laid Back Magic. As a mom of 3, I know how tough it can be to find time to plan a Disney World trip that doesn't leave you feeling stressed or overwhelmed. That's why I'm here, to help moms like you create Disney vacations that feel even better than they look on paper. Here, we're not chasing perfection, but creating our next favorite memories. So whether you're brand new to Disney or looking to go deeper into the details, this podcast is your go-to for simple tips, mindset shifts, real-life trip recaps, and expert insights to make your trip magical and manageable. New episodes drop every Monday, so be sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment. Okay, let's dive in. First up for reading, I have been in such a rut with reading because by the time my kids are all in bed, I am so exhausted that when my head hits the pillow, I am out. And also my 2-year-old, since the time change, has been waking up so early. So then I'm up at like 5, and then again, like I'm even more tired. I kind of have to go to bed early, and then the cycle continues. And I've been saying for the past month, like I really need just a good fiction book to really suck me in because I love reading. And when I'm not in a few books at once, it starts to bother me. So I kind of went on a little bit of a like library haul, if you want to call it that. So my local library has an app. I don't know if yours does or if that's like everywhere. So I went on and just saved a bunch of books that are supposed to be coming in this week. So I'll tell you about the ones that I have on hold that I'm going to be picking up this week. The first one is called Theo of Golden, and I'm pretty sure this is like a massive, I think it's like a really big book. And I cannot tell you how I found it or who recommended it, but it was definitely something that I saw. Maybe it might have been Walker Family Goods. Shout out to Lexi if it was her. I think it was her, and she had mentioned that she loves it. Unless I'm completely making this up. But if you go on Amazon and look at the reviews, very, very good reviews, #1 bestseller in Southern fiction. So Theo is the character, Golden is the place. And it says that Theo visits the local coffee house where 92 pencil portraits hang on the walls, portraits of the people of Golden done by a local artist. He begins purchasing them one at a time and putting them back in the hands of their, quote, rightful owners. And with each exchange, a story is told, a friendship is born, and a life. It sounds like a happy book, so I will report back how I liked it. One of the other books that I have on hold is called Eat That Frog, and this is a recommendation from my business coach earlier this year, and I kind of just read anything that she recommends. So I have that waiting for me. It's essentially just about prioritizing your time and not procrastinating. And I don't know what the frog analogy will be, but I can assume it's just to get the most annoying / gross / thing that you're dreading out of the way. Next book is called Unreasonable Hospitality. And this, again, is another more of a business one and creating very like personal brands that have very good service, making the customer feel good and just going like above and beyond what you actually have to do. I've been wanting to read this one for a very long time, and finally I will be reading that hopefully this month. And this will make a little bit more sense of why I want to read this as we get into the episode too. Next one is just for fun, Sharp Objects by, I don't know if you say Gillian or Jillian. I think it's Gillian Flynn, same person who wrote Gone Girl. This book was turned into a series on, I think, HBO with Amy Adams. Ooh, did I really, really, really like this show. And it's one of those shows that you can't watch twice because once you know the end, it just kind of, it's just one of those shows that you wish you could watch for the first time again, but you can't. So I am going to read the book that it was based off of. Next up is E for eating, and we have been baking a lot. So fun fact, my 5-year-old, her like favorite like guilty pleasure is watching baking videos on like my Reels or TikTok, like cake decorating, baking. And she stumbled across Sarah Fennell's Instagram. This is Broma Bakery. And that's like her favorite girl to watch. She calls them makeries, and we'll just swipe through all the reels and be like, oh, that looks so good. She just loves watching people bake. And one day we were in Barnes & Noble. I saw Sarah's new book. It's called Sweet Tooth on the shelf. And Sailor, my 5-year-old, recognized it from seeing her promote it on Instagram. She was like blown away. Like, oh my gosh, this person who I'm a fan of on your phone made a book, and it has like pictures and pages, and I can see her like, look, that's her. It just was really cool to see her like connect the dots of being like a content creator and then like landing a book deal. And I know that's not what she's thinking in her 5-year-old mind. Long story short, I surprised her with the cookbook, and we've been going through and baking different things. So we've baked like a coconut caramel cookie, which are like the Girl Scout Samoas, which are very good. And we also did a sugar cookie so far. So, and when you flip through the book, you can't even choose like what to bake. Everything looks amazing. Oh, and I used her pancake recipe too, which was really good. For playing, I actually mentioned this in my last episode, and that is Pictopia. It is a kind of card game with a Disney theme where you have images on one side of different characters, and on the other side, the person can ask, it'll be like, what 2 characters had their hearts broken? It'll be like A and C. Or which character does not have powers, or something like that. And it's fun for us as a family because there's older characters that my kids aren't super familiar with, and they're kind of learning the names, or like, oh, that's from, Aristocats or something. And then the newer characters that I'm not super familiar with, my daughters can tell me who they're from. Story actually brought that to school today, and I hope she brings it back and doesn't use it because she knew that they were going to have indoor recess. So just like an easy thing to bring around, travel with, throw it in your bag, bring it to a restaurant is really nice. It's just easy, and we've been pulling that out a lot. I've been thinking about what I've been obsessing over, and specifically today, I woke up truly obsessing. I actually had a hard time falling asleep last night because I'm obsessing over my husband, Colton, is going down to Eleuthera in the Bahamas. It's like I haven't been keeping this a secret. Like, it's not intentional, but so much time has passed that I don't really know how to bring it up. So I'm just going to tell you why he's going. Is about 2, almost 3 years ago. So like this coming February will be 3 years. We bought a piece of land on Eleuthera. And this is kind of a wild story, especially if you have no idea what I'm talking about. So I am going to link to an episode about Eleuthera, why we love Eleuthera, and just kind of the backstory and gist of this island and why we like vacationing there, why I think you would like vacationing there. But just to tell you fairly quickly, and what you need to know, is that owning some type of land or property or home has been my husband's dream since he was like, I don't know, 16, 17. Like, he's just always been looking at, I know like Zillow didn't exist back then, but whenever that started becoming a thing, that's what he does for fun. He is always scoping out different properties and places, and anywhere that we've ever traveled that has been amazing is because he took me there, or he found it. He read it in a magazine or saw a photo of it. He's just always looking for these special places, and to own something eventually one day. I think the original plan, at least in my mind, would be to buy a home. I have not had the specific dream of having property or a home down in the Caribbean or the islands, but I have always dreamed of running something in the realm of hospitality. So like a bed and breakfast, Airbnb, something along those lines. And over the years of being together and traveling together, we kind of exclusively only visit homes and rent homes when we're on vacation. We aren't resort type people, except for Disney World, of course. And this dream has slowly turned into having a short-term rental. And in our travels before we had kids, we visited Harbor Island again because Colton took me there, which is a very, very tiny island down in the Bahamas. And we love it. Like that's one of Colton's favorite spots. But then when we were looking for property, specifically beachfront property, it gets hard because the island is very small. We had played with the idea of buying an already existing property on Harbor Island in town that was already being rented out, but it wasn't on the beach. And if you listened to my Eleuthera episode earlier, you'll know that if you visit Harbor Island, there is a bigger island that you fly into. It's called Eleuthera. And it's actually the same island that Disney opened up a cruise ship port on the south end. So a few years ago, we took like a long 2-week trip to get the feel of like different areas of Eleuthera because it's very skinny, but it's very long. So you can be anywhere on the island and it feels completely different. So we stayed in 2 or 3 different places to nail down the location of where we liked on the island. We decided where we liked, which is around Governor's Harbor. So the next time we went back, we actually rented a house very similar to what we would like to own right next to a piece of land that was for sale. We're like, okay, we know that we like this area. Now, how would it feel being on this specific beach, which is called French Leave Beach? And we rented this house on purpose because it was so close to a spot that was for sale. But Colton also did visit like a handful of other lots that were for sale. Like some were more up higher, like the elevation was higher, more like a cliff where there was like a lot of steps going down to the beach. Some were on the other side of the island with more property, but like less of a good beach. But what we both agreed was the best spot was the one that was right next to the home we were renting. And you have to know too, like we are not spontaneous at all. Like we're both very thoughtful, especially when it comes to like big decisions. So we had been talking to anyone we could over the years who we knew owned rental properties on the island. People that lived there, people that owned houses down there, people that lived there and owned houses, people that lived in different countries and owned houses. No one, not one of them, regretted it at all. And they all said, yes, like if you can, you should definitely do it. So on that trip, after walking the property, we put in an offer while we were on vacation, which was very cool and exciting and scary because we have no idea what we're doing. We've never done this before. And I woke up the day after putting in the offer and took a pregnancy test in that house that we were renting on French Leave Beach. And I was pregnant with my son, Crusoe. So in my mind, like when I think of the timelines of things, like this house that we will eventually build on Eleuthera and my son, like their stories started truly like at the exact same time. Actually, for a minute, Colton was like, wait, like let me call him and like we'll back out of the deal when he found out I was pregnant. And thank goodness we didn't because we still have the land. And now we just need to figure out how to put a house on it. And that's where Colton is going to be going down to Eleuthera. He's meeting with the builder to stake out where to put like the first structure, where everything's going to be, because it sounds like maybe there's going to be like 3 structures total. 2 of them will be available to rent. Like then one smaller, almost like a carriage house that we can stay in ourselves when it's just us. So I'm definitely obsessing, thinking about like all the decisions that we're going to have to make. And I don't want to make the wrong decisions. If you are listening and by any chance have done this, please I'm hello@summerearthwild.com. I would love to chat with you. Next up is R for recommending. And I am recommending is that if you are planning on visiting Disney World in 2026, you need to book it like immediately. Like obviously it's December, so like travel is on your mind for next year. But if you're thinking like maybe December of 2026 and you're like, oh, I have time. That's a year away. I just need to wait. I'm telling you, like go online when you can and just start looking at the rooms. Rooms are going really fast and all of the packages are available for next year. So learn from me, who always waits until the last minute and usually ends up staying in a resort that I didn't necessarily have my heart set on, which I will admit can be like kind of a happy accident and always works out somehow. But there is no downside to starting now. So if you are used to, going to Mexico for spring break, or you go down to South Carolina and you book 6 months out and it's never an issue, I encourage you, Disney is different, and just start getting that ball rolling now, please. T for treating is funny because when I first started these monthly reports, T was treating as in like a treat, like a snack, a sugary dessert. Then it slowly turned into treating like almost like an ailment. Like I am treating myself to something that is going to make me feel good and give me energy and help my brain and my mood and all of those things. It has really all been about my hormones for me this past 6 months. I've been getting a lot of tests done, blood work, tracking things, and experimenting with different natural supplements, removing things and adding things. And while I do definitely feel better, I found out that I have very, very low testosterone. And I've known this for a while now. And at first, like if you're like me, you're just thinking like testosterone is like a man thing. Turns out women need it too, because if you're very, very low in any hormone, but especially testosterone, even if you're normal in everything else, it makes you dominant in those other hormones and it stinks. So my main complaint / symptom is energy. Like it's been really, really hard I'd say it's gotten worse over the last 2 or 3 months of exercising, because the number one thing that you can do to raise your testosterone naturally is exercise, especially weight training, like strength training, really heavy weights. And that's usually like right up my alley. I struggle like anyone to exercise, but once I do, like once I hit play on the video or get my sneakers on, I'm fine. But this is like, it's truly like I'm working out and it's a struggle. Like I almost can't get through a warm up. It's a very hard thing to describe. It kind of feels like I have the flu kind of all the time. You know, when you don't have like symptoms necessarily, like outward symptoms, you just feel it like in your body of just like very bad fatigue. That's kind of how I feel all the time. And the next thing that helps with that is really good sleep. Ironically, the low testosterone can make it hard to get very good restful sleep. But then also my son has been waking up really early, which I mentioned. I just have been needing a lot of sleep, and it's just like a vicious cycle when you're not getting perfect sleep all the time, but you need the sleep and then you can't exercise and that makes you tired. So all that being said, I am treating this with hopefully in the next month or so, like some type of hormone replacement therapy. I am too young really to be doing this, but I've tried the natural route for over 12 weeks. And while I feel like I've kind of improved in some things, the energy thing is just so bad. So my body has been moving like a snail. And again, if you have any experience with this, if it didn't help you, don't tell me. But if it did help you, tell me. Really, I would be anxious to hear the good and bad of this. I am hoping to start at a very, very, very low dose just to get me over this hump that I can start exercising and getting that going, and then hopefully be able to raise it on my own. This was a very different kind of episode than I normally record. So I promise I will be back with a Disney-related episode, including all the things I got right and all the things I got wrong when it came to Disney World this year. I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Laid Back Magic Way podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode and it was helpful for you, it would mean the world to me if you'd write a quick review. Your reviews help more moms like you find the show, and I read every single one of them. Seriously, thank you in advance. You can find me on Instagram at Somewhere Worthwhile, and I'd love to hear from you there. DM me if you have any questions about this episode or what you'd like to see in future ones. Until then, keep planning for your next favorite memory, and I'll see you next time.